Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Massive Darkness 2 unboxing. This is for another Heroes and Monster set, the Monks and Necromancers versus Paragons. So this is a Kickstarter exclusive. It was originally part of the stretch goals, but then as they unlocked each class and each enemy, they eventually just shoved it into one box. It might be available still through various retailers at back Kickstarter. So you can probably still find it. You might be able to, it might just cost you a little bit more, versus being a free stretch goal. But yeah, if you're looking to add some new classes, this will add 2 new classes plus a new roaming monster. All the classes work perfectly fine with the base Hellscape game. Plus they have the upgraded components for the Heavenfall campaign mode. Alright, so we're going to jump into them. These classes have a little bit more going on with them sometimes than kind of just the standard ones. They're still definitely fun. So we're going to look at the monks. We'll look at their character cards and their minis, and then we will go over all their skills, and then we'll do the necromancers separately. Alright, so we have Raya here. So she has 5 health and 3 mana. In combat, she can reroll 1 black die. Her shadow ability is she gains +1 sword for each active and discarded chakra. So we'll learn about them, and then we'll come back and look at that. And then the other one we have, let's look at her quick. She's got very I don't want to say stereotypical, but she's got that flowing gown, minimal gear. She's not wielding a ton of weapons. Monks are usually, their chi, which we'll see, their chi and chakra. And they don't usually have a ton of weapons. Not to say it's all monks. And then here's Harlan. Again, I love this cloak effect. The beads on the back are really cool, but I love where they use the cloak to show you to have jumping, or maybe he's summoning himself to float. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to represent, but he's got 4 health, 4 mana. On defense, you can spend 1 mana to gain an extra die, or shadow. May return 1 discarded chakra to your hand. If you don't, gain 2 attack sword tokens. So definitely interesting there. Monks that fight in the shadows. Alright, what does a monk do? How does the monk abilities work? So most of the characters have all gotten, lots of them get boards. The monks are going to get a deck of chakra cards. So it's kind of neat how they transition in darkness here a little bit. So you have 4 lighter ones, which are your starting cards, and then the rest go in the rest of the deck. So you're going to start the game off with 4 starting chakra cards. So you're going to get guidance, and then each one's going to have a type at the beginning, and then what type it does. So there's guidance, agility, and combat, and their various effects might represent those. So then we have guidance mana. So during the beginning of the game, you draw your 4 starting cards. At the beginning of every turn, you have to play 1 card. And this will be your active card for the turn, which will gain your ability. So every turn you're going to get a different ability. So you kind of have to decide what you want to do each turn, kind of how you want to play. So it's sort of similar to how the rogue worked with the token bag, because you had your actions were maybe sort of limited or guided by what your abilities are. But that's kind of all of them, right? Wizard, if you wanted to do combat and you weren't on the combat thing, you had to do extra stuff. Yeah, so it kind of dictates what you do. So this says, when you play the chakra, place 1 mana for each activated and discarded chakra on this card. While this chakra is active, heroes may spend mana from this card as their own. Basically, you're going to make a pool. So active cards are any cards you have out. There are going to be ways to have more than 1 active at a time via various skills. And then at the beginning of every one of your turns, you take any of your active cards, you put them in a discard pile. So that way now your discard pile will build up. And then I believe it says when... So if each hero space, I'll act face up into their own discard pile. These are the discarded chakras. And then they stay there until you need to reshuffle it. So yeah, so first turn you'll have one active, and then the next turn you'll have one active, one in the discard, so on and so forth. Then we have speed. Your first move action this round has +1 movement point for each active and discarded chakra. So basically they're going to get more powerful as your turns go on. We have aggression. You may play this chakra and gain 1 sword token for each active and discarded chakra. And our last starting card is meditation. When played, heal 1 for each active and discarded chakra yourself only. Instead of discarding this chakra, return it and all other discarded chakras to your hand. So you're going to just start with the 4, and there's going to be other ways you're going to add more chakras in here to get the rest of your deck. Basically, if you're upgraded skill cards, you'll add more cards to it. But yeah, the immediate meditation you have. So whenever you need to get your cards back, so you gotta play that balance of, if I really need to heal, or I might need to heal, you might want to wait until you have more cards out. On the other hand, if you really need that attack ability or that mana ability back, you may just play this instead. So that's definitely interesting. Alright, so let's look at the next bunch. Which are a little bit darker color. They kind of get darker in each side of 3. So we have another combat with prowess. So attack, spend 1 mana to do 1 wound, or defense to gain 1 shield. Agility focus. Whenever you take wounds outside of combat, you may instead deal the same amount of wounds to an enemy in magic range once per round. Or shadow. Your zones also count as a shadow zone. That's actually cool because it works with everyone around you. Then our last 3 will be invulnerability. For combat invulnerability, deal or spend 3 mana, ignore all wounds you would take. Agility strength, +1 action. And guidance alliance. Heroes in your zone gain action, perform 2 attacks once per round. You may target different enemies. So definitely some cool different stuff we can do with those. Then let's look at our skills themselves. So we're going to start off with martial artist. Gain chakra combat prowess. So if you take this as your first skill, you get one of these cards that go into your deck. You may perform melee attack actions without any weapons. If both your hands are empty, you gain 1 yellow die and 1 sword, because monks generally don't like to attack with weapons. If your hand is empty, you gain 1 melee attacks, gain +1 yellow die. If both hands are empty, you gain +2 dice and 1 orange die and 1 sword instead. And then if you do level 3 version of it, you also gain chakra combat invulnerability. You may perform melee attack actions without any weapons. For each hand empty in your melee, you gain +1 yellow, orange, and 2 swords. So it's definitely cool. We can do our second skill, which is Enlightened Tutor. To gain shadow guidance in shadow. When you play Guidance Chakra, heal each hero in your zone by 1. For each one of them gains 1 sword or 1 defense token. It's just as neat because it's any Guidance Chakra. It doesn't have to just be the shadow one. Then you're also gonna get this big giant board. Don't mind the skull right now. But you're gonna have these tokens that have swords, or they're gonna have rerolls, or on the back sides they're gonna have a bunch of defenses. So you can get these, and what they do is they basically are given to players, and they can use them when they need them. So you give them a sword or shield, and whenever they need to access those, they can do those. When you play a Guidance Chakra, heal each hero in your tile by 1, and each one gains 1 sword or defense token. And then this one gains you the Alliance, and then heals for 2, and each one of them gains 1 of those tokens. Our third skill tree type is Flying Kick. Gain Agility Focus. After you perform a move action, you may spend 1 mana to roll 1 orange die. Deal wounds equal to the swords to 1 enemy in your zone. Level 2s is after you may spend up to 2 mana to roll that many die, and then each one gains 1 wound. And then the third one is you gain strength, and then after you spend up to 3, roll that many die. So basically, it's just the harder you get to kick them. Alright, then the secondary tier of skills we have Multidisciplinary. Rotate this card to exhaust it, and play 2 non-medication chakra cards this round. They must be different combat types. Refresh this card when you play medication. So it only works for as long as it's out, but it lets you play 2 at once, which also then gives you some extra bonuses, which is really fun. And then we have the second one, which is playing 2 non-medication cards this round. And then refresh it. So all this one does is it gets rid of that subtype. So now you can play 2 of the same classes. Our next ones are Keen Mind. When you play any chakra, you may return 1 discard chakra of the same type to your hand. If you discard any other non-medication chakra. So if you really need to reuse one, you get the option. And then version 2 says when you play any, you may return 1 discard chakra to your hand. If you discard any other non-meditation chakra. So what was different there? Oh, the same type versus just any single one. So it's actually kind of cool. Alright, then if you get that's all the ones that would be available using for the base game, where you can go up to level 5. Then if you are playing Heavenfall, the campaign mode, you can go up to level 10. So we're going to get some upgraded versions of all those previous ones. So Martial Artist goes up to level 4. You may perform melee actions without weapons. Each hand that's empty gets you a yellow, orange, and red die and plus 2 swords. So red die are the new attack dice. They have a lot more attack symbols and mana symbols on them. Look for the campaign mode. Enlightened Tutor 4. Whenever you play a guy in chakra, each hero has 3. Each hero gains 2 tokens of either type in any combination. Or Flying Kick. From action, you may spend up to 3 mana to roll that many red dice. Deal wounds equal to swords. This would be really powerful. Your secondary skills also level up to level 3. Multidisciplinary. Rotate this card and exhaust it to play 2 non-medication chakra cards this round. If they're different types, gain 2 reroll tokens. Refresh this when you play medication. So now you have the option of playing the same one, but if you play different ones, you can gain some extra tokens for it. And then Keen Mind 2. When you play any chakra, you may turn 1 discarded chakra from your hand. If you discard any other non-medication chakra. If the return chakra is the same type as the played one, gain 2. So this one again, you can do whatever, but you gain them reroll tokens if you play the same things. The other nice or fun aspect of this, we're going to get some hybrid ones. So if you only focus on just 2 of the basic skills and you don't touch anything else, because it would take you 8 levels to get Martial Arts 4 and Flying Kick 4, you can have Flying Mantis. For each empty hand, your Flying Kick skill rolls get plus 1 yellow and reroll for free. We can get Kneeling Tiger for Enlightened Tutor and Martial Arts 4. When you play a guy in Chakra, each hero gains 1 reroll token for each of your empty hands. And then we get Concealed Dragon, Flying Kick 4 and Enlightened Tutor 4. When you play any Guiding Chakra, you may move up to 2 zones and spend up to 3 mana to roll that many red dice. Deal wounds to each sword to each enemy in your zone. Yeah, that's fun. Lets you move extra and then get it, and then you get to roll and do some extra damage. But you get to do it every time you play a Guiding Chakra. So it kind of mixes between them. If you decide not to go to the hybrid level, you can also access the new skill, which is Mindfulness. So you can get at level 8. When you play Meditation Chakra, you gain 2 reroll tokens. If you have no other chakras in your hand, you also gain 3 attack tokens and 3 defense tokens. So basically, it rewards you for playing through all your other cards before you play that reshuffle. but you might not have a choice. Maybe you really need to heal, or you really need one of those other cards back. Mindfulness 2, when you play meditation, I keep wanting to say mediation. Meditation chakra, you gain 3 rerolls. If you have no other chakras, you gain 4 swords and 4 shield tokens. Alright, then the last thing is we have our level 10 skill. We have Spiritual Path. At the start of your turn, each hero in magic range gains 2 shield tokens. When a hero spends a shield token, the attacker takes 4 wounds. And then finally, every character will have the Lightbringer Ascension. It says now you may roll the purple shadow dice in light zones. You can't use your shadow effects in light zones. Instead, if you roll that, you and one other hero in magic range gain 1 reroll token, 1 sword, and 1 defense token. Yeah, it basically gets you that extra ability to roll an extra die, and then if you do get the shadow, you can get a cool bonus from it. So that is how the monk works, uses them shadow tokens. Now let's look at their character cards again, just to see what they do. So Haran here gains extra defense, but as shadow you may return 1 discarded chakra from your hand. If you don't, you gain 2 sword tokens. Yeah, so basically if you're maybe early on, drop 1 or 2 cards, you don't need to do that. Great. Or if you're not really worried about it, or you don't need that ability, like the first one's maybe like flying kick, and like, I don't need a flying kick, or I'm not close enough to use that. Again, you can just gain some extra swords, or maybe just need extra sword tokens. And then Raya has Shadow. For each active and discard chakra, you gain +1 sword. So this is basically, the other one, you gain bonuses for not doing it. This one, you gain bonuses for the more stuff you've played. Definitely fun. Alright. That was our monks. Now let's look at our second class, which is our Necromancers. So we're going to get some Necromancers in here to perform some evil magic, I guess. So we're going to start off with Mortimer. So then you have spend 1 skull to heal 2, or Shadow, you gain 3 skulls. So we just see what those skulls do, and then we'll come back to this. 4 health, 4 magic, or mana. He's got such a cool design. He's kind of like a witch hunter almost. He's got swords, daggers, he's got some skull, or he's got like not a skull, he's got a dagger. He's got eyeballs on his coat. Big giant staff with a nail through it. Oh, extra sword. Like he's armed and ready to go. Like he's a fighting necromancer. Then our other one is Ygraine, who has 5 health and 3 mana. You can spend 3 mana to gain 1 skull, so spend all our mana. Which has Shadow. Spend any number of skulls. For each one spent, the defender suffers -2 defense. I think she looks more like a witch. Because she's got a broom and she's kind of floating. I like how they use her tassels from her coat to lift her up off the air. I imagine like she attacks with those. You can see that one kind of looks like it has a dragon on the end. So that might, I actually thought that was a tassels. It's actually like a dragon. That's pretty cool. So like peacock feathers in there. I want to flip her card over. Get a little bit better picture sometimes on the backs. Yeah, you can see how she has a little. How's a dragon? It's like a fox. It's like a elongated fox. That's crazy. And she looks pretty pissed off. Alright, let's see what a Necromancer can do. Necromancers get a fun extra board. And some extra skills. Alright, so here's our Necromancer board. Let me tilt my camera down. And zoom back out. So Necromancer's going to get this special board here. Which you will then use the little skull token here as a tracker. This is what the skulls have to do. You're going to move the skull tracker along this as you gain skulls. And when you hit certain spots here, you'll gain extra abilities. As long as you're past that. But basically they work as like a secondary mana source. So the Soul Track starts at 0, and you get some bind tokens as well. You also get to remove the Skeleton Mob card from the main deck in levels 1. Skeleton Mob, and remove the mob cards level 1 and 2, so you can't play against skeletons right off the bat. So you're gonna get, so certain characters let you use raised skeletons, so we'll get to that, which is pretty fun. So the Soul Track goes up, so you'll move their little counter up on here whenever. So if I pop this guy out, this is a tracker, so it starts at 0, and then whenever you, I'll just show you right here. So it says whenever you kill an enemy, you gain 1 soul. Whenever a leader is killed, even if it's not by the Necromancer, you gain 2 souls. Whenever a roaming monster is killed, you gain 4 souls, and other abilities and effects may also gain you souls. Whenever it gains a soul, you move it once to the right. So every time you kill guys, it's going to go up this, you're gaining souls. And it's going to say that right there as well, just as a reminder. So if I'm up at level 8 here now, I have on my attacks, I can spend 1 mana to gain 1 extra sword, and I get 1 extra defense dice. But if I use something to spend 2 points, now I don't have my defense point anymore, but I keep my extra attack ability. If you can get all the way up to level 14, way over here, you'll gain 1 extra yellow or orange dice. If you would gain skulls, you can gain mana instead. Basically, you can't gain any more, but it'll let you spend your mana abilities, which would be really good for like your Grange, because she had the ability to gain skulls. So you can gain some extra mana, then spend your skulls to turn around and gain those back. You're also going to get these 3 soul binding tokens and this large one. So these are for mobs and like leader cards, minions and leaders, and this is for roaming monsters. And there are various ways you can take control of them. Basically, these go underneath those characters, so you can keep an eye on what you're doing. There's nothing special on the back. Alright, so let's look at their skill cards here. And we'll see what they do, and then how they affect everything else. So we start off with, you can raise skeletons if you like, depending on what kind of Necromancer you want to play. So you can pay 2 skulls to summon 1 skeleton minion to your zone, a limit of 2. Skeletons follow you. For each wound you take, destroy 1 skeleton. So they kind of work like the mobs. They stick with you in your tile. Before you attack, roll 1 shadow dice, or black dice for each skeleton. Deal 1 wound to the defender for each skull, or each claw. Minions are not considered heroes and may not perform actions, do not suffer reaction damage. Whenever a Necromancer moves, the skeletons also move and are always in your zone. So basically they're just treated kind of like the mobs are. We can upgrade that though to level 2, which lets you summon 1 skeleton, but now you can have up to 4 of them. Otherwise all the rest stay the same. And then we have Raised Skeletons 3, which lets you have up to 6 of them, and everything else stays the same. But yeah, that's definitely fun. Basically, like, extra damage you can do, as well as their kind of shield, so they do a dual purpose. Our other class is Death Shadow. If you kill a leader or a roaming monster, gain 1 extra skull. In your shadow, you can spend 1 skull to do 2 extra damage. Or add 2 swords, I guess, not extra damage. If the soul track is not at the 2nd threshold, you may count your zone as a shadow when attacking. Is at the 2nd threshold or above, so long as it gets up so far. When you kill 1 leader or roaming monster, you gain 1. So it's a threshold. I'm just... Yep, so 4, 8, and 15. Okay, so your thresholds are the spots with the skull, so you have to be at level 8. Alright, I just made sure that's what a threshold was. So as long as you're at level 8, Basically, you basically are always in the shadow. If you kill a roaming or leading monster, you gain 1 extra bonus. You can spend 1 to basically put you in shadows all the time. So if you're not spending your skull summoning things, you can basically use them to gain bonuses. And this as long as it's at your first, so you do it even sooner. And you get 3 swords now. Alright, then our third skill tree is Soul Protection 1. Combat, reroll 1 black dice. For each wound you would take, you may instead spend 2 skulls. You can spend your souls, I guess they would be. Combat, reroll 2 dice. For each wound you take, instead you may spend 2. And then Soul Protection 3. For each wound you take, you may spend 2. If you spend 5 skulls, refresh 1 Lifebringer token once per quest. That's definitely fun. Alright, then our second tier is going to be the Leader Rebirth. Action, spend 4 skulls. Revive 1 leader and place it in your zone. Equip 1 of your weapons to the leader. Get it back when this leader is killed. Revived leader limit 1. So this actually lets you resummon one of the leaders instead of just one of the minions, but you have to have killed one first. Like the skeletons, you can start with them right away. I guess you can also use one right off the bat because you should have one skeleton there. But if you want a different leader that's not a skeleton, you can resurrect a different character if you defeated them. You just gotta give them one of your weapons so they have an attack. And now it says, revived leaders count as heroes for the purpose of, let me see if I can get that in there. But not for the number of minions, mobs, rolling monsters, stuff like that. They do not have their special abilities. The leaders in health defense are showing on their mob card. During the Necromancer's turn, they may activate each revived leader once for free. Their first activation does not cost an action. And they may spend actions to activate again. When activated, leaders perform 1 attack or 1 move. When performing a move action, the leader has move action has 2 MP just like any other hero. So basically you get an extra character now that can move around. They cannot interact, open doors, recover, or carry any items beyond their given weapon, and they do not roll shadow dice. If they kill an enemy, the Necromancer gains the experience. But anytime a higher level mob card of a skeleton mob or revived leader is drawn, replace the current mob closest to the Necromancer's dashboard to the new one, then draw a new card for that event. So basically, if you draw through, you have your level 1 skeletons out, and then you get up to level 3 and you draw the next skeletons. Your skeletons now become more powerful, but then you redraw a different card to replace them. So it's actually pretty cool, too. Yep, so that's basically how that works. And then we have Leader Rebirth 2, which lets you do the same thing, but it just lets you revive up to 2 leaders, so now you can summon more. So if you want to summon an army, you can summon skeletons, and then you can summon them. We can also do Monster Reborn, which costs 6. Revive 1 roaming monster and place it in your zone. Health value is a 1 hero value, and you can only have 1. The roaming monster, they may, if the Necromancer has a roaming monster reborn skill, they may activate it. Blah de blah. They count as heroes for They count as heroes for the purpose of targeting miniatures, so the same as the leaders. Do not have their activation pattern or their special skills. Its attack and defense are shown on their card, and their health is equivalent to their 1 hero value. During their turn, they may activate it once for free. They perform 1 attack or 1 move action. When performing a move, they get 2 MP. Just like Revive roaming monsters, they can interact, open doors, carry items, blah blah blah. They can't roll shadow dice. And the same thing, they upgrade with their level cards. Necromancers can always control 1 revived roaming monster regardless of the skill. If it already controls 1, they can't until that one is killed. Basically, you can't get rid of 1 to gain a new one. Then we have the upgraded one, which now they have 1 extra movement point. So that's definitely cool. Get some different options. Now you might not want to try and do Raised Skeletons or Leader Rebirth and Monster Reborn all at the same time, just because you might not kill enough stuff to gain enough mana to keep summoning them. Because if they keep dying, like, oh, I got up to 2 mana for a couple of skeletons, I got back up to 4, and I summon my... Once one of them dies, then your defense is done, and you don't have any other abilities to use. So, I mean, you could definitely try it. I'm not going to say it's not a viable thing. It just might not be what you want to do. Alright, so now we're going to look at the campaign skills. So we have level 4 Raised Skeletons. Now you can have up to 6 of them. Skeletons follow you. For each wound you take, also destroy 1 skeleton. Before your attacks, roll 1 black die for each skeleton. Deal 2 wounds to each defender for each claw and hand. Got Shadow for the soul trackers at the first threshold or above. You may treat your zone as a shadow zone when attacking. If you kill a leader or roaming monster, gain 2 skulls. And shadow, you spend 1 to gain 4 attack swords. And then soul protection for reroll 2 black dice. For each wound you would take, you may instead take 2 skulls instead. Spend 5 to refresh the Lifebringer. Or defense 2. Spend 2 skulls, plus 1 shield for each spent Lifebringer token. So basically, it gets more and more powerful as you do worse in the game. Then we can also upgrade to level 3 our Leader Rebirth. Revive 1 leader, 1 of your equipment on the leader, but now you can have up to 3 of them. And then the Monster Reborn has the same stuff, except now you have a hero value. Health is hero value plus 5. So you just gains more health. Just almost another one for most of them. Alright, so then if we want some new skills, we could also choose some hybrid skills. We wanted Dark Skeletons, so if we just wanted to go Death Shadow and Raised Skeletons. We have Shadow Attack. You may re-roll each skeleton black dice once, and when in the shadow you may also destroy 1 skeleton to ignore 1 die. So let's use the skeletons a little bit better. We could do Death's Revenge, which requires Death, Shadow, and Soul Protection for. In the shadow, defense, spend 1 skull. After combat, if you didn't take wounds, deal 5 wounds to the attacker. Or we could have Skeleton Souls, requires Raised Skeletons and Soul Protector for. At the end of each your turn, heal 1 for each skeleton, yourself only. When a skeleton is destroyed, you gain 1 soul back. Which is definitely fun if you're going to play it just those. Again, if you kind of focus on them classes, you can gain some interesting abilities. Then, if we want to try a different skill out, we can instead do the Dawn of Souls. At the end of your turn, according to your threshold, if you're at the first one, you heal 1 hero in magic range by 3. Your second one, in addition to dealing 4 wounds, deal 4 wounds to 1 enemy in range. And if you're at the third one, both effects above in any number of targets instead. So basically every time you hit one of the thresholds, you're going to get it. So the first one you can heal, the second one you can do some wounds, and if you get the third one, now you can do, besides doing both, you can hit every enemy in those, or hero in them ranges. So this is definitely a way if you just want to build up them skulls and you just sit there and not maybe worry about paying your other abilities. And then the level 2 version is now you can heal up to 4 or do 7 wounds instead. Then if we hit level 10, we get our signature ability. We have Soul Blast. Spend 2 skulls or souls to roll 3 red dice. Deal wounds to each sword up to 2 enemies in magic range and move each up to 2 zones. Or we have the Lightbringer Ascension, which lets you roll your shadow dice in light zones. You can't use your shadow effects in light zones. You instead may reroll 1 for each threshold you've reached or passed in the soul track. So that's even, the past part is kind of neat too. So even if you haven't gotten to the third one, um, you'll definitely get more of them. Alright, so that's cool. Get some extra different things there. So that was our 2 different classes. Let's relook at our character cards though to see what they do now. We know how the abilities work. So, Mortimer can spend 1 soul to heal, or if he's in Shadow, he can do 3 skulls. Gains +3. So basically, he wants to spend these to heal. He's kind of more, again, the combat version. And then Ygraine can spend 3 mana to gain a skull. So as long as she can keep gaining mana back, she can get her skulls to use them when she needs them. And then in the Shadow, she can spend any number of her skulls. For each one spent, the defender suffers -2 defense. So basically, you can save these up and then blast people for a lot less defense. So definitely cool there. Alright, then we're going to look at our set item cards. So, if you look at the base game, you're going to get the Shadowbane set. If you picked up the Heavenfall campaign set, you will also get 2 more set items with the Darkbringer and the Hellfire. So set items will always, basically if you have 2 of them, you gain 1 ability. If you have 4 in the set, you gain another ability. And then each set has the 4 basic slots: accessory, armor, helmet, and legs. And then each character has a special weapon that works specifically for their character. So that way you can have the 5th one. So you can actually have all 5 slots full. So if you're missing 1 item, you can always replace it with their signature weapon. Now, for the monk, if you have 2 of them, you can spend 2 mana in combat to ignore 1 black dice for each discarded and active chakra. If you get 4, ignore 1 and deal 1 wound for each discarded attack in chakra. The attacking enemy defense. Basically, the greater ones are just better, upgraded versions. His special item, or their special item, I shouldn't say his because there's a woman there as well. The Monk's Enlightened Ring Blade. In the light, you may melee attacks have range of 0 to 1. So basically you hit 1 extra space away with your melee attacks. So that's just kind of odd because typically the monks don't want to use weapons. Because it's weird that they gave him a weapon. But that's alright. Then, if we look at our Hellfire. So the Hellfire says when resolving your flame, you may deal wounds to an enemy in your zone instead. And then 4, you have greater power. When resolving your flames, you may deal double the wounds to 1 enemy in magic range instead. And then Hellfire, so long as you have 2, resolve all your flames at the end of your turn instead of the start of your turn. So it lets you go your entire turn before you get hit with those and do the special abilities. And then he has Monk's Combustion Baton. The monk may reroll once for each of their fire rolls. Combat, take 1 fire, gain 1 fire token. Or 1 reroll token. So basically the fireworks is their weapon, will give them fire damage, and I'm sure the other Hellfire set items also do stuff to give you flame, and then these guys utilize that flame to do extra damage. And then finally we're going to have the Darkbringers. The Darkbringer Shadow ability may be triggered instead of a hero's regular, and then the 4+ lets you do both. So this basically lets you utilize shadow abilities. So it says Darkbringer Shadow. 1 reroll for each discarded and active chakra. This lets you get some extra ones. And then our special item will be the Monk's Skull Knuckles. Shadow action, 2 mana, move up to 2 zones, gain 2 sword tokens, and attack if possible. They're kind of like a flying kick, but with a brass knuckle. Alright, our Necromancer, Shadowbane. Your revived leaders and roaming monsters have +1 defense. And then 4 greater power, they have +1 defense. Revived roaming monsters may equip and trade 1 weapon matching 1 of their attack types, adding to the dice pool. Get it back when killed. They may be equipped they may use equipped weapons abilities if possible. So this is really cool, and the fact is it makes your reviving leaders and monsters better, especially your roaming monsters. Yeah, the other downside though is if you're not really playing with either of them, then this is kind of pointless. Not kind of, it's completely pointless. But we do get the Necromancer's Censure Skull. So you can, during the white, you can spend 2 skulls to ignore all black dice. Yeah, so it's kind of helpful there. Must swing that thing around and smack people with it. We have the Hellfire. Combat, discard 1 fire from yourself to activate 1 threshold ability 1 additional time for free. Or discard 1 fire from yourself to activate 1 threshold ability 3 additional time for free. Ooh, activating them extra could be helpful. And then we have Necromancer's Cold Dagger. Attack, spend 2 skulls to take 1 fire, plus 2 for each fire on you. So you can definitely get some extra fire, then you can spend them to use some extra skills. And then we have the Darkbringer, which is going to let you use your Shadow abilities multiple times. So Darkbringer Shadow, ignore 1 defense die for each threshold reached in the soul track. So it'll kind of work better if you're trying to build that up. And then Necromancer's Grim Wand. Spend 1 skull, defender takes 1 frost token. Alright, so that's definitely fun. Some different ways to play, although because they're set items and there's only 1, they're going to be a little bit harder for you to gain. Plus, the expansion ones are Legendary Treasure. So they're the Hellfire and Dawnbringer, so they're going to be even harder to get. Alright, then the last thing we have to look at is our roaming monster. So we are going to get Paragon. And now we're going to have the level 2, but we're also going to get the 3 to 4, the level 5, and then for the Heavenfall expansion campaign, we have 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So we gain extra of each of those. So Paragon is our nice holy guy here. So he's got this cross behind him. He's got a weird bird monster up on his head. He's holding, it's like an axe with bamboo around it, but it has like a spirit at the other end. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be. Of course, I have the flowing robes because these guys love their flowing robes. Yeah, I'm not really sure what that weapon is supposed to be exactly. But we have Paragon. So, 3 health per hero, 2 treasures, 1 rare, 3 defense dice, 1 black. Attack is 1 orange and 2 black. Its special attack pattern is, if there's more than 1 hero in the same zone, place Paragon on the zone with the most heroes. Then Paragon attacks each hero in the zone, resolve the attack separately. Otherwise, Paragon moves 2 zones towards the closest hero and attacks him if possible. Combat. Once hand, deal 1 wound to each hero in the Paragon zone. So this guy's going to come up and just bash everybody that they can. So handle this guy maybe at range. Alright, so upgrade, we're just going to get more health, more dice. Their attack pattern never changes, so now we're up to 7 health, 5 defense dice. Now when we get to the expansion, the campaign expansion, they also lose their tokens for treasure, which is interesting. They also gain green and red dice. So green defense dice, which have more defense symbols on them, and less misses, and red dice, which have more attacks, add mana, and which don't help the enemy at all. But they also have no misses on there. So when they start rolling red dice, they're guaranteed to do damage. 8 to 9, 13 health per player, and then if they hit level 10, they have 15 health per player, which almost makes them very close to a boss. They deal 3 red, 3 orange, 2 red, and 2 black dice. Plus they have 7 defense dice, with 4 and 3. So that's crazy. as Paragon. And then just to kind of show this off, since we have them standing here, so if we took control of this leader, that's what it's going to look like. You're going to get this little shadow token around them. So when Lagrange takes control of them, now she has a giant mob that she can use. And then if they are running around, so they're going to have, says per player, so this would, example, if like say we just took control of the base one, you're only going to have 3 health. If we took control of it right away, but it'll attack for them 2 dice. And then if for some reason later on we draw the next card, then we upgrade, and now it has the 5 health and that. And if you get that 1 ability, you could also add equipment to your roaming monsters as well. So that's definitely cool. Plus you just start them skeletons. Alright, so that was, if I can get the box here, that is Monks and Necromancers versus Paragon. So that's 2 very fun different classes that work very different from each other. Add some extra unique elements to the game with the Necromancers controlling things, and the Monks using their chakra cards to gain various bonuses. Kind of how you control, kind of, you know, makes the game a little bit interesting. Plus a new enemy. So if you are interested in more stuff, definitely pick this up. They're all, again, 100% compatible with just the base game. You just won't be able to use them later. Cards for level 5 and 6 and beyond. But you can still use them in the base game, even if you don't have that. Alright, see you guys later. Bye.